The winter season is upon us and it's getting pretty chilly in the Denver area. Fall comes and goes in the Mile High City pretty quickly and only lasts about 4 to 6 weeks, and then it makes way for the winter season. And with the seasons changing, there's still a lot of things that go on in the greater Denver area. Sure, you can't hike or mountain bike or things like that to be outside, but there are like skiing, snowboarding, checking out the botanical gardens and things like that. And I will introduce everything that you should know and go check out that might fly under the radar to better prepare you for the winter season here in the Denver area. And with that being said, let's get right into it. And I'm getting kind of stuffy. I gotta zip this down a little bit, but on to the first thing, we gotta talk about the mountains. With about 30 resorts in the mountains, you got skiers and snowboarders flocking from all over the world to go check out Vail, Aspen, Breckenridge, Winter Park, and everything in between to get their winter on. So my personal favorite is actually Arapahoe Basin. A basin, if you will. The resorts are world class, like I mentioned earlier, but if you really want to get a good handle on all the different types of resorts with one pass, I would highly recommend you go check out the Icon or the Epic Pass. So what is the difference between the two passes, the Icon and the Epic Passes? With those different passes, you get access to different types of resorts all around the country and even internationally, but I go into more detail on the pros and cons list of living in Denver, so go check out that video first. Now, I'm not going to be summarizing the video too much, but I did come to the conclusion that between Epic and Icon passes, it really is up to you and what your friends are getting, because God forbid you get the Icon pass and all of your buddies got the Epic pass. So I think it's more fun with friends. So it's a blast, everyone talks about it. You gotta go make your trip up to the mountains. Even if you're not a skier or snowboarder, enjoy the mountain life, being up there in the cold, have some hot cocoa, have some beer, and sit around a campfire. Or I should say bonfire, not a campfire. I don't think you wanna camp at this elevation and the weather. I do want to highlight one of those mountains though, Eldora Mountain, that actually just came to light with a couple of my friends that were saying that it's actually pretty easy to get to. It's about 21 miles from Boulder and 47 miles from Denver. Eldora receives 300 inches of snow per year, which is great. And all of the slopes are well groomed. I think it's like 100% groomed slopes like throughout the season. It's some crazy statistic, but I would highly recommend you go check out Eldora Mountain. Eldora boasts the best snowmaking system in all of Colorado, which is amazing. And there's 100% coverage for all of the groomed terrain, which is more than any other resort. It's great. One last thing I want to bring up as far as ease of access, what's great is that you can actually take public transportation to go up the mountain. Instead of having to worry about driving up the mountain, just pay $5.25. I believe it's from Boulder, and it'll take you right up Eldora Mountain, which is awesome. Now on to something a little bit more specific. From November 3rd to November 12th is the Denver Film Festival. The 46th Denver Annual Film Festival is happening over at the SIE Film Center, SIE Film Center, and a bunch of other locations, but it'll have about 40,000 guests coming from all over the country to go check out the film festival. And it's not just cinema, you get some virtual reality experiences, immersive experiences, and of course you're gonna have some really good cuisine over there, which I am always a big fan of. And it's not just gonna be within the city of Denver, it's also gonna encroach into the Aurora area as well. So it's gonna be a big event, enjoy some good films, and you have some reprieve from the snow just watching some movies, so I don't think it's a bad idea. Next up on the list, I would highly recommend you go check out some of the trails around Red Rocks Amphitheater. And it's not just those trails, but any trails, I'd say for the most part are pretty open. So for those of you that are not familiar with it, maybe you just think that they're closed. I would say that during the winter time, it's still relatively warm-ish. And as long as you bundle up, have a beanie, a nice sweater, something like that, you're well prepared. I would say go out there and still go on a hike. The reason why I bring up the Red Rocks Amphitheater trail system is because in the background you get to see the Denver skyline as well. Another really cool winter hike is over at Green Mountain up in the Boulder area. So over in the Boulder area, it's pretty cool, and it sort of wraps around the perimeter of Green Mountain, and you get to see the skyline, Boulder, all from really cool views. So definitely go check it out. And if you're in the mood for shopping and supporting the local businesses, I would highly recommend you go check out Denver Bazaar. Try out denverbazaar.com because they have a list of different places and different areas that you can go check out the local makers. So since 2015, the Denver Bazaar markets have helped out 2,500 small businesses, have had over 500,000 attendees, and have had over 150 different food trucks and fashion trucks. Plus, Denver Bazaar has generated over $1.5 million in business for these small businesses. They're usually in really cool places like Denver Tech Center, Sloan's Lake, and places like that. So make sure you go check out the website to see exactly where they might be. They got a full schedule in there. Now, this next topic is not necessarily something that you could be doing in the wintertime, but it's more of like a piece of advice. The Denver market usually just slows during the winter season, and you have a lot of motivated sellers still on the market that want to sell either prior to the New Year's for tax purposes, or maybe they just need to get into their new construction and need to sell their original home. So if you're interested in buying, especially during the winter market, please hit me up. I want to make sure you're making the right decision and make the right moves. I'm a licensed broker here in Colorado, so hit me up. Anyways, let's go back to the list. We're gonna go into the sledding and tubing scene just outside of the Denver area. And some of these places are free, which is great. And it doesn't take much skill to go down these hills because all you need is gravity and maybe a sled or a tube, inner tube, whatever it is, or even a boogie board. So life pro tip, if you're coming from California or some other place or just have a boogie board on hand, I would highly recommend you bring it out to Denver to go sledding because these boogie boards have so little friction. It's almost like smooth on the bottom. So you are flying down the hills. And some of the places to go, in my opinion, is probably Carter Park over in Breckenridge, Fraser Tubing Hill, Echo Mountain, Colorado Adventure Park, and Frisco Adventure Park. Although some places are about $20 to $40 an hour, I would still highly recommend that because they groom it, they properly cater to the safety rules and all that good stuff. Plus, if they want to see if you want to have like lift tickets to go back up to the hill, I don't think you want to crawl up there with an inner tube in hand and sweating and the cold. Just take the lift ticket if there is that availability because it is so worth it and you could get more runs in for that hour. So let's say you're not much of a winter person and you kind of want to shy away from the cold. I would highly recommend you go check out some hot springs. The closest to hot springs is actually the Indian Hot Springs over in Idaho Springs. And it's about like an hour, maybe 45 minutes away, depending on how fast you go. The Indian Hot Springs was discovered back in 1859 and has a multitude of geothermal hot springs, some pools, and some caves as well for you to go exploring. So definitely a nice reprieve from the typical cold during the winter season. And if you're into the craft brew scene, you gotta go check out the Winter Brew Fest in January of 2024. They have these 2 time slots. I believe it's from 1 to 4 p.m. and 7 to 10 p.m. I would highly recommend you go check out the nighttime version because they usually have more music or different types of foods or food trucks. Usually it's a little bit more lively at the nighttime. So get some souvenir mugs, listen to some local bands, have some great food, and get unlimited tasting from some of your future favorite local breweries. And in some of my other videos, I actually bring up some other things to do in the wintertime, like the Denver Botanical Gardens. They transform the place with amazing sets of lights. An incredible sight, in my opinion. I would highly recommend you go check it out, especially fresh after a snowfall where the lights now bounce off the snow and it climbs up the trees. It's honestly a really cool sight and fun for everyone, the whole family. And if you want any more insight on things to do, what to eat, what events are coming around, what it's like to live in Denver, stay tuned. Make sure you like and subscribe to this channel, or even send me a text, give me a call, whatever it is. Just get in contact with me because I want to make sure you're having a good time here in the Denver area. With that being said, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next week.